welcome back to Moorway South. In this video I'm going to be reviewing this Intercity 08 Shunter. Before that I'll give you a quick update on what's been going on the layout. I've been doing some work on the northern section of the layout where the GWR goods shed will go, and there's going to be a turntable section and other items going on here. What I've been doing is adding some extra track in, that's been pinned down, and then I've been drilling holes for the droppers which I've been preparing, and I've also drilled some holes which you can see here for the point motors. Before we go any further, I'll apologise for any noise you hear in the background. As Perks would say, it's just the kids and the blooming missus. After the success of the lighting for the goods shed and the station canopy, I've decided to apply it to these Hornby buffer stops. I'm going to use the King Bright 3mm cylindrical LEDs that I got from Rapid Electronics. I'll put a link to their website in the description section below. These are relatively cheap and easy to use, an ideal shape as you're about to see. So what I'm going to do is drill a hole, simply a hole in there, the front of the upper section of the buffer to take the LED, and on the back I'm going to bend the wiring at 90 degrees so it goes across the back of this panel and then down and comes out roughly here to go past the track and through the board. So in best Blue Peter tradition, here's the one I prepared earlier. So simply a hole drilled through the front there, cylindrical LED placed into there, and on the back the wiring's been bent around on the section here. What I've done is I've glued a piece of black card onto the back to hide that wiring. The wiring emerges, get it in focus, down here, and I painted that black, should only that be showing, just with a permanent marker pen. And then they've got the leads coming down here, and I've left the cathode lead shorter, as it would be on the LED anyway, just to help me distinguish between them. At the appropriate point on the track, in this case it's the siding for programming, I've drilled two holes, one each side, where the wires will go down from the buffer stop. So here's the buffer stop at the end of its siding in position, and the wiring is hidden nicely behind that card panel and then going down underneath the track. You can see the two wires here coming out from the board next to the wiring for the track. Long term they'll be wired up to a circuit back to the control box, but for now I'm going to just add some wiring and a resistor so you can see the effect. So here it is in partial darkness. Now, it probably looks a bit brighter on the video than it does in real life. It's got a dull red glow to it in actual fact, but I'm very pleased with it. So the final effect looks good. Just a simple red light in the middle of the buffers. What I'm going to do is paint the buffers as well, probably put red blocks on the ends that are parallel to the light facing the rails. Maybe paint up the rest. I'll do a bit of research and see what they look like. So this Hornby 00 gauge model is R3048, an 08 class diesel electric shunter, 08673 Piccadilly, which as I understand it worked in Manchester. Here's a photo I found of it online at the train maintenance depot up there. As you can see, the colours all match the model very accurately, and even things like the rails and the boxes on the side, everything's a good identical match. They've taken a great deal of care to look at that. This is the cover for the box. As with a lot of the Hornby models, you no longer get to see the model through the window of the box like you used to in the good old days. You get what looks like a photograph, and as you can see, and I've pointed out previously with the 31 class loco, the colouring is slightly different. Looking at the actual loco itself, the red on the model is slightly darker, the red stripe, and the yellow ends, the wasp ends, is more of an orangey yellow, whereas the card from the box, the image shows a more of a bright kind of lemony yellow, almost greenish yellow So there's a slight difference. Personally, I prefer what's actually on the model, the orangey yellow and the dark red, but that's something to be aware of if you're going to buy this model. The model comes in this standard Hornby packaging, which is a split level box and all nicely securely packaged. I don't think I'll ever be using that again, but I always keep everything just in case. As with all the Hornby models, comes with a data sheet which gives usual safety advice, and then lubrication points, details of where to fit the accessories, which come in this small bag. Be putting those on later. How to remove the locomotive body, how to remove the motor, presumably that's for replacement, and fit in the DCC chip. Here's some close-up shots as I turn it on a revolving board. You can see all the detail on this model. One of the hardest things I first had to encounter was how to actually pick it up, because I didn't want to squash these rails that you can see here by handling it. So I tend to pick it up by the box sections where it says Piccadilly, and always make sure my hands are clean before I do that. So obviously the first thing you notice with this model is the extreme level of super detail as indicated on the box. Every little screw, rivet, panel and opening is there on the model to be seen. The artwork is beautifully done, real good sharp lines to the colours, the rails that have been painted, there's no overrun of the paint. It is beautifully detailed and they've done a marvellous job. There's some very fine lettering work on the side of the cab and on the ends for warning stickers for the overhead power lines. Things like the wipers on the back windows are very finely modelled and detailed. It's got sprung buffers, as you can see there. The doors on both sides open. You can see here the level of detail inside the cab with all the needles showing on the gauges and the controls visible. They have really gone to work on this and done an excellent job. What I will be hoping to get is a driver to go in there, perhaps as in the Hornby catalogue you can see here. A driver leaning out the side of the cab would be really good. Prior to DCC chip fitting, I'm running in under DC power to check that everything's working properly. Removal of the body of the shunter is relatively simple, the screws are easy to get to, but take care with this short piece of red plastic pipework that you can see here near the front of the loco. This does snag when you're taking the body off, so you have to be really careful of that and make sure it doesn't get caught and break off. I'm using an 8-pin Bachmann decoder chip. I found these to be really useful, reliable, very good results with these. In this particular case, there's nowhere obvious to put the chip in here. It's quite a large chip compared to the size of the loco, so what I've done is trimmed the heat shrink sleeve covering on the chip, and then I was then able to place it at the front of the loco and still get the body back on. With the DCC chip fitted, this is the slowest speed available on a Hornby Select controller. Very smooth, very slow. And here's the fastest speed I get with a Hornby Select controller. As a shunting engine it wouldn't be expected to go very fast. I presume that all the 08 models from Hornby are all actually identical underneath and the bodywork's all the same. They've just been painted up differently in different liveries. I'm still on the lookout for a blue BR08 loco to go on my layout, but in the meantime this 08 shunter in Intercity livery makes for an excellent addition to my 1980s themed railway. I'm very pleased with it. Thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, please leave them below, and if you subscribe you'll be notified when the next video is released. Thanks, bye. And just for those who are interested, here's my setup. I've got two lights, one on each side. I've got a bit of white card as background and white card for the engine and track to sit on. And then underneath all this there is a hardback notebook, and then under that an excellent piece of Lego to act as a little turntable.